from New York. Ebro in the morning on Hot 97.
All right, guys. So Jay-Z was inducted into the Songwriters Hall of Fame, right? So, you know, we hardly ever hear from him on social media. So he decided to thank all the people that inspired him, okay? So let's go through these tweets.
All right, break it down.
Rakim.
Okay.
God.
Kane.
Yep.
KRS.
Now, Kane, real quick, of course, they go back all the way.
Yes.
If you ever go listen to the One Epstein podcast we did with him, he talks about how early he met Kane, like as far back as 87, something like that.
Brooklyn Best Side. He said Kane used to bring him out on stage and things like that.
Yeah, that's
He just
right.
knew him as a local rapper friend who actually blew up. So
Exactly.
All right. KRS Chuck.
KRS and Chuck D, obviously, the teachers of that era.
Cube.
Ice Cube.
Icon, yep.
Jazzo.
Very tight that he brought up Jazzo, though, because when was the last time he, like, regularly talked about Jazzo in a positive way?
I don't even know. We know that there's been tension for a very long time there. You know, so for him to actually at this point give kudos.
Yeah, acknowledge him. And just,
yeah, I mean, it's not surprising. I would imagine at this point he's completely over whatever's there, obviously. But that's nice that he mentioned him because Jazzo put him on.
All right. M.
There ain't no hope without Jazz.
Eminem.
M, okay.
Early.
Andre 3000.
Now he's mentioning just the great. Now, see, here he's going from it's just about respect. Now, it sounds like basically, you know what? Oh. Cloth talk.
Come on now.
Hold on. This is.
Remember, these are people that inspire you. In no particular order.
Start from the top again.
Okay.
Let's pay attention.
Divine order.
Rakim. Kane. KRS. Chuck. Cube. Jazz.
Well, with the exception of Jazz, keep going.
Okay. M. Andre. Nas. B.I.G. Pac.
Stop.
Okay.
Did Jay-Z just give us his top 10 MCs?
Yeah.
Did Jay-Z just give us his top 10?
Yeah, first top 10 that came to mind.
Because think about it, those are Jazz. I don't imagine is in his top 10 MCs, though he might be. You never know because he came up under Jazz. He may think of him as ill. Jazz was pretty ill, but particularly those other names because Jazz is a mentor. That's a very legitimate top 10 that a lot of people would share.
Right.
And that's not a random coincidence that he named the OGs and then jumped to Eminem, Andre, Big Pac.
I don't know, but then
What's after that?
later on he kind of
what is the
skips
next one, though?
around.
What's
All right,
after
the
Pac?
next one is Cole.
So after Pac, he then goes what?
J. Cole.
J. Cole, Kendrick. Now he jumped away. Now he jumped to
Just
new
influencing good people who
and
are
dope
good
people.
MCs.
All right, keep
Okay,
going.
he goes J. Cole, Kendrick, Chance.
Okay.
All right.
Jay Electronica.
Yeah, I mean he's mentioning the next generation's
New school.
greats.
Lauryn Hill.
Okay.
The ladies
Nicki Minaj. Light. Latifah. Common. Then he goes Ye, Drake.
Common
and
must
Meek.
have reminded him of Ye. And then Ye reminded him of Drake.
And then Drake reminded him of Meek.
That's crazy because Drake and Meek back to back.
For real. No pun intended.
Yeah.
Okay. Run.
Yep.
No DMC. I'm a little tight. Queens.
Yeah, I guess he feels Run is the. A lot of people go, I think, Run, but a lot of people love DMC. So.
Kaz.
Grandmaster Caz.
Grandmaster.
He went
Icon.
back.
Yeah, but he dipped. Yeah, exactly. I mean, Run-D.M.C. is almost from the era of Grandmaster Caz, but not quite. And it's interesting.
It's enough to remind you.
And different
to go that
boroughs.
way.
It's a little odd, but okay.
And then he mentions LL. So.
Of course, back to Queens, back to Def Jam, back to
that era.
And then he goes Chains.
Now he jumps to 2 Chainz.
2 Chains.
Wow.
Random
Cam.
jump. Dope.
Yeah.
Cam. 2 Chainz Cam. Again, random.
Then he says Tip.
That's
Both
big
of
too,
them. Both tips.
Because they had beat. Both tips.
Oh, dope that he mentioned Cam, too.
Yeah, 'cause
Very good
that
point.
was a heavy conflict there.
You're right. Heavy conflict at that point. That's pretty cool.
That's a strong
After the
move.
breakup of Rockefeller, yeah.
Then he says Thought.
And Tip, both. By the way, Q-Tip and T.I. together. Super random, but I guess it makes sense to say it like that. Then he says Thought.
Black Thought. I'm
Pharaoh.
assuming. Pharaoh.
So now he's just mentioning the
Dope
guys
MCs,
who
wordsmiths.
right, who you might not put in your top 10, but we all know they're as nice as anyone ever.
Right.
And he's
Face.
acknowledged.
Scarface.
Same kind of thing. I think Scarface is also in that category. Like some people have Face top 10.
Slept on MCs.
Yeah, I think Face is more in the thought. Pharaoh, incredible, but they may not get the top 10
Strong
for
for the
whatever
culture.
reason, but incredible for the culture, right?
All right. So then he goes De La
Yep.
I mean, and by the way,
and Ice-T.
Ice-T is very interesting because of how big Ice-T was and how important he was early on. De La, a lot of people forget that both Dave and Pasta News are two of the illest MCs of all time.
Fact.
Like, and a real MCs know how ill pattern-wise they were. Like, they did shit just different.
Right, how influential Stakes is High and, you know, Potholes in My Lawn, all of their early albums, De La Soul is Dead, how influential that was on the culture. The native tongues was a big deal.
Yeah, and they were not probably, De La was the best rappers in native tongues.
Right.
Straight up MCs, bars. Dave and Paz to me were the best ones.
Right.
All right, keep going, sir.
Then he goes G-Rap.
Come on now.
I mean, now we're just talking. Now we're just kicking this real.
Street rap.
He goes Grandmaster Cat. Then he goes, Melly Mel.
Yeah.
Right after he says G-Rap, which is interesting.
Okay.
But keep going. But Mel's, of course, an icon from the early days. But Ho's been around. He remembers when Melly Mel was popping.
Then he goes Corrupt.
Okay.
Okay, back to
by the
West.
way, amazing, but random as hell to say right after Melly Mel.
He said he didn't say Snoop yet, or didn't say.
Not yet.
Right.
It was Corrupt.
Hold on, Shawnee. Hold on. Then he goes The Locks.
Okay. Big jump again. Because you're going from Corrupt to The Locks.
Then he goes X, DMX.
Yep.
Street rap. We can talk street rap.
Then he goes Q and Ab. So we're thinking it's Schoolboy Q and Ab Soul.
Which is crazy.
Right.
It's really cool. I mean, and also these days, I find that in this era, a lot of the true, real rap fans really appreciate Schoolboy Q and Ab Soul. But it's cool to hear that Hove's up on it like that and includes them as people who influence him.
Right. Yeah.
Like, wow.
And then with
maybe
them,
he means DJ Absolute. Just kidding.
up.
Shout out to Absolute.
and then with that he says Lupe. So Lupe Fiasco.
Boom, goes to Lupe.
Then he goes Mos.
Lupe leads him back. It's looping him back around, no pun intended.
It pulled him back in, right.
Right.
Okay.
So Q, and then he's
like, oh, what about Lupe? Oh, what about Mos?
Right, what about
Gotta have Mos Def in there.
Right.
All right, a Foxy.
Foxy, the relationship with Foxy was very important.
Right.
Because without Foxy on Ain't No, let's remember when that record came out, Foxy was more mainstream hot than Hove was. For sure.
For sure.
That feature was a big deal. That song was a big deal. And they went back and forth on each other's records for a long time.
Classic.
And then he goes Boss. Ross.
Now, I'm a little confused by that because he mentions Foxy and then the next thing he says is Boss. So when he says Foxy and then Boss, but he doesn't mean Ross because he says Ross.
Right.
Does he mean Boss?
Which most people would not know about. Most people do not know who
I was
Boss
confused
is.
about that one too. I was like, wait.
Boss is almost a one-hit wonder. Didn't even really have a hit.
Boss.
We all remember her.
Boss had, if he means Boss, which would be super random, he's referring to, Recipe of a Hoe was the big one. But she had 3 records that were really dope. Deeper was the big one. Deeper was the huge one. Deeper, Recipe of a Hoe, and Progress of Elimination, I think. Those were like the 3 songs she had. But it's random if that's what he means.
Very random. And I mean, she was a hardcore, male-looking female MC, and not feature-wise, meaning like...
No, she actually was kind of pretty, but yeah, she wore
very
the
pretty,
wore
but
the Scully,
the dark shades, and a Carhartt big body jacket.
And then
something
there
about
was
her energy was like...
The story came out later that apparently...
Where's she from? I don't remember.
Michigan.
Okay.
The story came out later that like she was kind of a fraud. That's what people said, was that the image was like a created sort of... She was a Def Jam... She was under JMJ. I think she was on the same label as Onyx. Remember the RAL Chaos label that was inside Def Jam? And I think she was really kind of a worked thing of like, we're going to create this image. But maybe we're wrong and we're forgetting someone else he's referring to. But the fact that he goes Foxy, Boss, he keeps seeming to go with like women together, this group together. So that's all I can think of.
Yeah, people that remind him of each other.
And then it's like,
assume her.
And then he says Ross.
Okay, so right after Ross, he goes
into
Quavo.
But by the way, let's skip over Ross real quick because first of all, him and Ross have dope collaborations, and there's a lot of mutual respect there. And a lot of people out there don't realize that Ross is one of the greats of this era. They were so caught up on the CO thing that people don't pay attention to that. Like Ross is incredible, and Hov respects him. And he jumped on Maybach and like he's whatever. Go ahead.
All right, so right after Ross, he goes Quavo, Future, and Travis.
Boom. So you know what that is. That's the swag of today. Like he's basically calling out
to some new people.
The mainstream, because Quavo, who's second?
Future.
Quavo, Future, and Travis. Really, from a mainstream standpoint, they are the sound of 2017.
Right. So, and then he goes out to shout out T Grizzly, and he's like, song best out. And he continues, he says, shit, did I say Redman? Ghost.
See,
Ray.
now he realized he forgot a whole category.
Right. Because he's going new. He's like, wait, there's some like OGs that I didn't mention.
Yo, by the way, did he not
faves?
So keep going. He says,
I'm not done. Okay,
Ghost, Ray.
He says, Redman, Ghost, Ray. He says, Wu-Tang, I beat Genius in a rap battle, I think. Ha. Busta, him too. Tretch, Thug.
Let's stop for a second. Hold on.
Okay.
So now, he said, Red. Didn't think of Meth there, though.
I know, I thought about that. Then he just says the whole Wu-Tang.
And the only Wu members who he specifically mentions are Raekwon, Ghostface, and Jizza. Those were the ones that popped in his head. Because you would think everyone in the world of hip-hop, if you say the word Redman, also thinks Method Man.
100%.
And Method Man and Redman are very close in terms of how ill they both are, I think.
Right.
But he does shout out all of Wu-Tang. I don't take it as a slight. People do think of Redman as being on a slightly different level than almost anyone. Yeah, so that's not surprising.
One of the best.
Yeah, that Redman's one of
them MCs.
So
okay, after Thug.
Then he jumps to Thug, which is interesting because he thought he would have included him with the Travis run.
Right, but
Future, but
and then he says, be a rapper too. So I'm thinking he's talking about Beyonce.
Just the letter B?
Yeah, he just says the letter B. Be a rapper too.
Okay.
Okay, remember, these are people who inspire him.
Yeah, so I think he does mean Beyonce.
So listen, maybe he has intimate moments with B where they're
writing. He ends up
and,
saying Obama, so obviously not everyone's a straight up rapper.
Right. Then he goes, shit, Wayne, Juvie, BG, Nipsey, Kim.
Lil Kim.
Slaughterhouse. And then in parentheses he said, yes, Mouse too. Talking about Joe Budden.
Yes, Mouse too, of course. Yeah, not surprising that he messed with Slaughterhouse. They're all ill, all of them. Yeah.
Falarin. MCA,
Wale, Falarin, which is him. They have a relationship, and Jay was pivotal in his career, and Wale is a dope MC. Who's next?
MC8.
MC.
Right.
Now
Short.
Now I said earlier, I swear I'm not drunk. Yeah, you are. Because now we're all over the place.
40, Mac Dre.
Okay, now we're hitting the Bay.
And then he says, this shit is hard. Never mind. And then, hold on. Then he starts blabbing. Okay, he's venting. He's like, okay, then he says, 50 Cent. Big L.
All right.
Show and AG.
Back to street.
Nice and smooth.
Bro.
Joe and Pun.
Hold on, let's stop for a second.
Okay.
That Show and AG shout out from Hove.
Come on,
yo,
baby.
bro.
Yeah, I mean, it shows you where he was as an artist in terms of the true influence, because he's naming cats that unless you were a true fan of the game, you would be like, who?
And the fact that, and what happened was he obviously thought like, oh shit, I got to mention Big L, who was also part of kind of helping put him on.
Right.
No pun intended. And then he's like, oh, if I'm gonna mention Big L, shit, Show and AG. And that leads him to Joe and Pun.
Right. And then he goes, look, he says, Diggable. I was like, Butterfly especially. So he goes, Diggable Planets, especially Butterfly.
My Lord. Well, that's the female, right?
You know how crazy random that is that he said that?
Butterfly especially?
Yeah.
Or just Diggable in general?
That he said Diggable and Butterfly is crazy to me. It's so random.
He's like, he probably has like Blowout Comb like randomly playing.
Nah, I mean, listen, Diggable's dope. Both their albums are dope, but it's still, you just haven't, people don't often throw them.
In the crates, you going straight to Diggable?
Yeah, he's going
to
dig.
You know what I'm saying? He was thinking digging in the crates, Diggable Planets.
Like,
okay, and then,
we own you, ho.
We see that
and then
track.
he goes to Beanie, Young Chris, Freeway, SP, and he's like, okay.
It's interesting he says SP because he already said the locks.
Yeah.
State property. Thank you. Oh, because he's already saying, he basically says all of state property and then says state property. Got it.
Let me see. And then he says,
no, not yet. He gets
Pastor Jeezy, my partner. And they say, okay, I'm
Jeezy
done.
and him are very close.
So I'm deleting this shit in the morning. He's like, it's impossible to get this right. He's like, I promise I'm not drunk. And then he says, Lord Pusha. Then he says, Cardi, in parentheses, he's like, Magnolia, incredible.
So I don't know.
The Playboy Cardi.
I love Playboy Cardi, and I love the record. How he got there after mentioning Pusha. But hold on, what does he say after Cardi?
Then he says ASAP.
Exactly, because Cardi's part of ASAP. Cardi's coming up under ASAP Rocky, so that part's very direct.
Something when he says ASAP in all caps, he means the entire
said,
ASAP mob.
I assume he really means
the mob.
The whole squad.
And Rocky and Ferg is probably what he's mostly referring to. But maybe it means Yam's influence. Maybe it means all that. So
Then Sean P.
Boom. I don't know if I've ever heard Hov shout out Sean Price. That's nice.
Mob D.
All right.
By the way, that's nice. Again, another cleanup of bad times. Gone.
Anybody he had beef with is like,
of course. I mean,
I guess if he took the time to have beef with you, because so many people have taken shots at him, if he took the time to actually have beef with you, he had to respect you too.
Of course.
Well, let's also remember though.
And now he's coming.
And remember, it's people who inspired him.
And remember, in 2000, 2001, when he went at it with Mobb Deep, they required a response.
Right. Come on now.
I mean, their best days were sort of behind them at that point, but they were still popping. I mean, they were still...
Mobb Deep is one of the best two-man crew in the game.
Of all time.
All right, so after Mobb Deep, he goes to Kid Cudi, Tyler, Earl.
So now he's like, I'm going on the weirdo wave.
And then he says, Snoop.
Love you, weirdos.
Snoop with exclamation parts, and he's like, I almost played myself.
Right, because he hadn't gotten Snoop yet. Him and Snoop go way back.
He said, and the greatest rapper of all time, Obama. Thank you, 44.
I mean, listen, I love Barack, and he deserves a shout out. Greatest rapper of all time. Now it's talking crazy.
Right.
Maybe it's a Juice.
Yeah.
He says, wait, and then he says, Slick fucking Rick, Pimp C, and Bun. He's like, wow, I just realized how many fresh people the culture has. Big Sean and Sauce Money.
Sauce Money, bro.
And Big Sean?
How they came together, I don't know. But Sauce Money and him go all the way back to the jazz days.
All right, then he says, too many. And then he says, Fab. And then he says, black people really magic. And then he says, stops, and he says, Mac Miller nice too, though. That's tight.
And that's it.
And that's it.
And by the way, Mac Miller he's going to be so psyched when he wakes up and sees this. Like, wait, what happened last night?
Wow.
So there you have it.
You know there's people that he left out, of course, that he's probably just like, I'm not going back.
Yeah, and by the way, it's one of those things
never get it right.
You can't break down who he left out because it was so, like,
you could tell that he was just
stream of
randomly, like,
consciousness.
just shooting names, and, like, he's human. He probably forgot somebody. Like, somebody mentioned Memphis Bleek. I didn't hear that in there.
No, but
really
you know what?
tight.
It's a little different to shout out the guy who, like, was under you and you put on completely. You know what I'm saying? It's different even than State Prop, who were under Beanie. And they might have been under him, but not directly. You know, Bleek has an inspiration to him when he's his, like, little man who he put on. You go all the way back to coming of age. Like, I can see why that doesn't fit into that, but he may have also just forgot. Not a lot to read into.
Did he mention Pharrell?
No.
No.
He didn't say Pharrell in
any
Neptunes.
Producers, I don't think.
Didn't say Timbaland.
No producers.
That's what I'm saying. There's a lot of people he missed.
No Rick Rubin. No Beastie Boys.
Right.
Like Mac Miller got a shout out. The Beastie Boys didn't.
Crazy.
And when you look into the white boy category, which is only Eminem and Mac Miller.
He
but
must have forgot.
I do think that the beginning, that's Hove's basic top 10. That's at least what pops into his head.
100%.
That's the first 10 that pop into his head.
Because right
or
after
11
that, he
if you
goes
include
into J. Cole, right?
Then he jumps to J. Cole, who you know is he
Kendrick
doesn't,
and Chance afterwards.
like, he loves those guys, but he doesn't have them as top 10.
Right.
So that really is Hove giving you the first best MCs that come in his head. All right, well, there you have it. I kind of would have liked to shout out, but...
Hey, Rosenberg.
For your bars?
Yo, Rosenberg, thank you for keeping me on point. Always talking about the culture. Yeah, something.
That's something, right? I get it.